Salve, welcome to stage 3 in Unit 1 for Cambridge Latin. This unit, or this stage rather, is called Negotium. Negotium is Latin for business. And we're going to hear a lot about people doing business in Pompeii. We start with a little bit of grammar though, just to remind you that remember that Latin has cases, and the cases tell us what function nouns have in a sentence. We've really encountered only two so far, the nominative and the accusative. Nouns in the nominative case, if it's in the nominative case, it is the subject of the sentence. If it's in the accusative case, it is the direct object in the sentence. And so they give some examples there. So metella is in the nominative, metellam is in the accusative. Or caecilius is in the nominative, caecilium is in the accusative. And mercator is in the nominative, mercatorum is in the accusative. So there are a large number of words like ancilla and taberna. They do the accusative the same way metella does. These nouns are nouns of the first declension. And we see some examples there. We see in the nominative, all those words end in A. In the accusative, they all end in AM. And as a rule, most of all those nouns are feminine. Another large group is the second declension. Most of these words form the accusative the same way as caecilius, so it goes caecilius, and the accusative is caecilium. So servus, the word for slave, is servus in the nominative, servum in the accusative, or amicus, the word for friend, in the nominative, and amicum in the accusative. We've also seen several nouns that are part of the third declension, and by far most nouns in Latin are in the third declension. So like mercator, the word for merchant, its accusative is mercatorum. Or leo, the word for lion, its accusative is leonem. Or senex, the word for old man, its accusative is senem. In the nominative, the nominative form for a third declension there, it's going to have several different forms, but the accusative almost always ends in em. As a rule, for this first part in Latin, if you see a word ending in m, it's probably a direct object. So let's look at the first story that's on page 28 in your book. The story is called In Foro, which means in the forum. I'm going to read through it, and then we'll do some translating. Caecilius non est in villa. Caecilius in foro negotiam aget. Caecilius est argentarius. Argentarius pecuniam numerat. Caecilius forum circumspectat. Ecce artifex in foro ambulat. Artifex est Clara. Clara caecilium salutat. Ecce tonsor quoque est in foro. Tonsor est Pantagathus. Caecilius tonsorum videt. Salve Caecilius tonsorum salutat. Salve Pantagathus respondet. Ecce Venalicius forum intrat. Venalicius est Syphax. Venalicius mercatorum expectat. Mercator non venet. Syphax est iratus. Syphax mercatorum vituperat. So let's just look at this, and you're going to translate the story for me. I'll give a few translation helps as we go through. But the first sentence is pretty straightforward, right? Caecilius non est. He is not in villa. So we could say in the villa, but probably you could add a pronoun here. Probably maybe not in his villa. And it tells us where he is. Caecilius in foro. And he is negotium aget. So your notes there give you a translation there. Doing business. He's working. And it tells us what his job is. Caecilius est argentarius. So argentarius, argens is Latin for silver. Literally, Caecilius est argentarius means Caecilius is a silver guy, but if we look at the vocabulary on in the back of the book, you're going to see argentarius means banker. Caecilius is a banker. He deals with coins, or moneylender is another good translation for that. And then it tells us what argentarii do. Argentarius, pecuniam numerat. So then Caecilius forum circumspectat and ecce, which means look or behold. Ecce is the word that is used by the angels whenever they appear in the Bible, like in Luke 2 when they appear to the shepherds. They say, ecce, behold, a Savior is born to you. And then it says an artifex is in forum ambulat, and then tells us her name, and then tells us the exchange that Clara has with Caecilius. And then we see ecce tonsor, a tonsor, a barber. Quoque is also in fodero, and then tells us his name. We can see from his name, he's Greek. That's a good Greek name. And then he and Caecilius exchange greetings, and then a Vena Lycius enters in. A Vena Lycius is a slave dealer, a person who sells slaves. And his name, we can see, is not Roman. His name is Syphax. And he's waiting for a merchant. So this is a good reminder that slavery was very much a part of Roman life. And so we're going to encounter that as we go through the story in Pompeii and then later in the other units as well. So you can do a translation of this story for me and submit it. You might also just, you're not doing this worksheet, but you should be studying the vocabulary that is on page 38 so you're ready for the quiz.